Hello and welcome to another morning update live on NTN. My name is Jessie Leonce and today is Wednesday, the 2nd of June 2021. St. Lucia and the rest of the space that we're in, we've entered the Atlantic hurricane season. And it began yesterday, June 1st. St. Lucia is being urged to finalize preparations for this period, and we will get into a little bit about that, hearing from the chief at the Meteorological Office, Mr. Andre Joyer. This morning, we also have in program for you the usual updates from the Ministry of Health and Wellness in terms of the COVID-19 figures, as well as continued admonitions, particularly as we've entered a new period of adjusted COVID-19 protocols, giving concessions to individuals who've been vaccinated, and I would also imagine incentive to those who may not have made up their minds as yet. In the same vein, we have the St. Lucia Hotel and Tourism Association stating that amendments to the COVID-19 protocols will have a positive economic impact on thousands of displaced St. Lucians. That was supposed to be Hospitality and Tourism Association. And we also have in the program government's land rationalization extending to Bouton down over in Soufrière-François-Jacques. And finally, for the program, in terms of our lead stories, we have Canada deepening relations with the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. So stay with us for the next hour or so. I'll be bringing you the latest developments from the government of St. Lucia. Good morning to you if you're joining us on air, online, residents in St. Lucia going about your daily chores at home, in the office. So if you're still studying at home, for those of you at tertiary level education, secondary school on rotation, good morning to you. Thank you for making us your morning station, and for also St. Lucians in the diaspora who are looking to keep abreast as to what's happening here in our island home. And I can't forget, we have an update and adjustment in the changes in the international oil prices and also government's application of the modified market pass-through petroleum pricing mechanism. I'm going to let you know what the new prices of gasoline, kerosene, diesel are at this point in time. So stay with us. We have those stories and more coming up, starting on the other end of this break.
We can win this war. Get vaccinated. We're taking our life back. Get vaccinated, we know what to do. Get vaccinated, COVID-19 we won't lose to you. Oh no, take 2 doses, take our life back. Time for a brand new day. Take 2 doses, take our life back. To live and work and play. Take 2 doses, take our life back. The health experts we trust. Take 2 doses, take our life back. Vaccinate for you, for yours, for us.
Let's take our life back with the safe and effective AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. The mobile vaccination drive is coming to you. Visit the Ministry of Health and Wellness and Bureau of Health Education Facebook pages for more information. Let's take our life back. Vaccinate for you, for yours, for us.
Get vaccinated.
This message is brought to you by the Bureau of Health Education of the Ministry of Health and Wellness and this station.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you're just joining the NTN Live, we have now the morning update for you, the latest developments coming out of the government of St. Lucia. Residents here in St. Lucia are being called upon to finalize preparations for the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season. Tuesday, 1st June, marked the official start of the hurricane season. However, the region did see the formation of Tropical Storm Anna on 22nd May. Now, Anna, a subtropical cyclone, was short-lived and posed no threat to life or property. Director of the St. Lucia Met Services, Mr. Andre Joyer, says this hurricane season it will be above normal. He says that this is the 6th consecutive year that forecasters are predicting above normal activity.
The Colorado State University, in their April 2021 forecast, anticipate that there will be 17 named storms, of which 8 will develop into hurricanes, with 4 attaining major hurricane status. NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Agency, predicts a 70% probability of above normal cyclone activity this year. They are expecting the formation of 13 to 20 named storms, of which 6 to 10 will become hurricanes, including 3 to 5 major hurricanes. The tropical storm risk out of the United Kingdom has predictions for 18 named storms, 9 of which will attain hurricane strength, and 4 of them will become major hurricanes.
Mr. Joye asks the public to have in place disaster management plans at the household level as well as within the business sector. And while St. Lucia traditionally experiences heightened cyclone activity between the months of September to November, Mr. Joye is reminding that the rain events can occur at any time.
We encourage you to consistently follow regional weather developments and to pay particular attention to local weather reports, advisories, and bulletins issued by the St. Lucia Met Services. The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, will also be issuing important directives and information which you are strongly advised to heed. Pre-season rainfall over St. Lucia this year has generally been near normal, and this trend is likely to continue into July. Rainfall thereafter is expected to be normal to above normal. In spite of this prediction, note that heavy rainfall episodes are an expected feature of our rainy season, and the occurrence of flooding and landslides remain a major concern.
That was Andrew Joyer, the director of the St. Lucia Meteorological Services. The hurricane season officially ends November 30th. Until such time, St. Lucia ensure that you prepare, protect, take all precaution against any incidents during the Atlantic hurricane season. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is cautioning that St. Lucia is still in a very critical position as it relates to the coronavirus, and the country remains vulnerable to the introduction of COVID-19 and variants of concern from the developed countries and neighboring Martinique as well as the transmission in country due to inconsistent compliance to the protocols. Dr. Sharon Belmont George, now Chief Medical Officer, did note an increase in the social activities across the island, especially on weekends, and we heard this from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force as well. Breaches in the COVID-19 protocols in terms of the social sector happening mostly on the weekends, and the general relaxation of the public health measures. St. Lucia, we're not out of the woods yet. We go to our clip from the CMO.
We continue to advise the public to remain vigilant, adhere to the protocols that are put in place to keep us safe. These include regular hand washing, the use of the face mask in public places covering the mouth, nose, and chin, avoiding crowds and people with respiratory symptoms, and keeping frequently touched surfaces clean. We are privileged to have access to vaccines in the COVID-19 fight. Vaccination remains the most effective public health measure in managing infectious diseases. The AstraZeneca vaccine has been proven to be safe and effective in protecting people from developing COVID-19, its severe forms, complications, hospitalizations, and death. We continue to urge the public to access the various sites to get immunized at the soonest. The vaccine is available free of charge to the public at many venues on a daily basis.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness continues to manage COVID-19 cases in the country, collaborating with various ministries to ensure that there is safety of the public. The safety of the public as the country strives to return to a state of the normalcy continues as much as possible. As of 31st May 2021, well, I could give you the latest figure. So as of June 1st, we have had a number of active cases being 158, and this is due to the registering of 13 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday. And this was out of a batch of 145 samples taken between 28th to 30th May. We also have 18 individuals who've so far recovered from COVID-19. So far we're seeing a steady in and out of cases, in and out of treatment for this virus. We have the Chief Medical Officer indicating that over the last 14 days, we have had the majority of cases happening in the southern region of the island as well as in the north, and to be more specific, Babonneau and Gros-Islet. Take a listen.
We continue to manage numerous outbreaks emanating from local bars. The Ministry of Health and Wellness continues to support and collaborate with the Ministry of Education in the safe reopening of schools and is pleased with the progress for the last month. The school administration and teachers are encouraged to continue working with the students to ensure a safe educational environment is maintained at all times. The continued diagnosis of cases noted is of concern to the Ministry of Health and Wellness as we continue strengthening the necessary public health systems to manage at this point.
That was Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sharon Belmar-George. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is encouraging the public to get immunized so that everyone can be protected. The vaccination campaign continues today, Wednesday, 2nd June at the VG Sports Complex and Dennery Mothers Preschool. And, tomorrow is Thursday, the 3rd of June, Corpus Christi public holiday, so there won't be any vaccinations happening tomorrow, Thursday, but the campaign continues right along into Friday at the Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds, the Jack Mill Wellness Center, and the VG Sports Complex. So between today or Friday, if you want to get vaccinated, you can do so. And remember, guys, hmi.govt.lc, you could pre-register there. If you don't have access to the online platform, you could always let a nurse or doctor at your community wellness center, nearest health center, let them know that you're interested so that they can pre-register on your behalf. Not to worry, if you want to just walk in, you can do so, but you can assist greatly in having the administrators of the vaccine know how many vaccines, how many doses to bring with them on a particular day if you pre-register. But nonetheless, you can head on in over to the various venues today, Wednesday or Friday, and you will be accommodated. Just ensure that you carry along with you some form of identification, your passport, your ID, your driver's license, so that they'd be able to put you in the system. And if you're going for your second dose, you please ensure that you carry with you your vaccination card that they would have given you when you would have come in for your first dose. So please take note of that. As of the end of May for this year, we've had 28,262 individuals getting their first dose of the vaccine, and for those receiving their second dose, the figure stands at 18,862. So we're seeing a steady increase in persons getting vaccinated so far. And so please take note of the the locations for today. It's the VG Sports Complex right outside our building, as well as the Dennery Mothers Preschool. Keep in mind the campaign, the National COVID-19 Vaccination Campaign, administering doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, is now catering to the general population. When we say that, we mean persons who are 18 years and older, as well as individuals receiving their second dose. Please take note of that. Prime Minister Honorable Alan Shastney on Friday, 28th May 2021, did announce that the Cabinet, on the advice of the Chief Medical Officer, had approved amendments to the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Regulations effective 31st May 2021 to the 30th of June. So for the entire month of June 2021. Among the adjusted measures is the lifting of quarantine for returning nationals and visitors who present a negative PCR test and are fully vaccinated. However, random testing, they did assure, will continue at the arrival ports, notwithstanding the relaxation of the measures for individuals who've been vaccinated, fully vaccinated. Honorable Alan Shastney said St. Lucia is still at a critical point, echoing the words of the CMO, still at a critical point in the relaxation of protocols with respect to this pandemic. And as such, government anticipates the risks involved will continue to strengthen and as such, government anticipates that given the risks involved, they will continue to strengthen the public health system. The Prime Minister also emphasized the need for St. Lucians to get vaccinated against COVID-19. Now, vaccination, he noted, reduces the risk of severe illness and transmission. Nevertheless, everyone, including fully vaccinated persons, must continue to wear their mask right now, social distance and sanitize, because our population is still vulnerable. We now go to our clip from the Honorable Prime Minister.
It is even more important that everybody in our communities continues to adhere to the current set of protocols. But at the same time, we're hoping that many more St. Lucians are going to be encouraged now that they're seeing the number of people who have been vaccinated globally. And even here in St. Lucia, over 27,000 people have already been vaccinated. Over 18,000 people have already received their second dose, to encourage many more St. Lucians to become vaccinated.
Indicate and emphasize that having a large percentage of the population being vaccinated will enable our country, as many are hoping for, to fully reopen the economy.
St. Lucia. Many St. Lucians have suffered because of COVID-19. And while the government has done everything we can to mitigate against the fallout, it was impossible to eliminate it. So today's announcement allows many of those small businesses that have been affected, the car rental businesses, small guest houses, Airbnb, bars and restaurants, to reopen. But we need to do this safely, because as quickly as we've opened up our economy, if in fact we see an increase in cases, as you know, it would cause the government to have to reverse some of our protocols again. So we're all in this together. We can do this. We must do this. And I'm asking you one more time, all of us, despite some of the hesitation that we have, in order to move on and get back to some level of normalcy, to give many St. Lucians the opportunity to take care of themselves and their families, please get vaccinated.
That was Prime Minister Honorable Alan Chastney. Now, if you could do the math based on what I indicated earlier, some 771 St. Lucians, have received the Oxford-AstraZeneca vaccine, and that is 28,118 individuals receiving the first dose and 18,653 individuals receiving the second dose. Of course, we also received the latest updates from 1st June. Meantime, the St. Lucia Hospitality and Tourism Association, SLHTA, has welcomed the amendments to the COVID-19 protocols as announced by Prime Minister last week. The SLHTA believes these amendments will have a positive impact on the lives of the thousands of individuals who've been displaced with the sector since the pandemic began last year. The SLHTA recognizes that these amendments to the protocols are critical as they convey excellent news to small and medium enterprises, which can now come back on stream after suffering a tremendous economic blow. And while the science is informing the decisions, the SLHTA maintains that all nationals have a responsibility to ensure compliance with the safety protocols and avail themselves of the vaccines. The organization also indicated that it appreciated the quality of engagement between the association and the various government agencies that predated these amendments. President Paul Collimer says that relaxing the protocols positions the island to benefit from the windfall of opportunities as the global economy gradually reopens and further reduce the high unemployment caused by COVID-19. And still with COVID-19 developments, this time we have some assistance for the impact of individuals under the UN Women and Gender COVID-19 Response Subvention Project. Quite a mouthful, but also very impactful. Take a look.
Under VN Gender, Enabling Gender Responsive Disaster Recovery, Climate and Environmental Resilience in the Caribbean project, Global Affairs Canada has repurposed funds to support a COVID-19 response through UN Women Multi-Country Office in the form of small grants for the tourism and agriculture sectors. Persons in these sectors have been negatively affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, and the funds will be offered as a source of relief. This aligns with the Gender Project's mandate as it seeks to further integrate gender equality and human rights-based approaches into disaster risk reduction, climate change adaptation, environmental management frameworks and interventions, as well as identifying and addressing some of the gaps to ensure equal access to disaster risk reduction, climate change and environment solutions for men, women, boys and girls in 9 countries, including St. Lucia. Jani Joseph is the Director of Gender Relations in the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development.
None of us, especially those of us whose incomes were not impacted by the pandemic, can fully comprehend what the women whose livelihoods were lost to the COVID pandemic are really experiencing. This initiative only provides a small response to a very deep problem. We know that. But we are very grateful to UN Women for their support in this initiative and their support generally to us in St. Lucia. We are grateful to the project management unit of the Engender project for their unwavering support. But we are eternally grateful to the Government of Canada for their support at this, our lowest point. We hope that this small gesture of support, of which you will hear more about during the ceremony, will go a long way towards providing relief to the 110 recipients in this most challenging time.
Given that in St. Lucia, a large majority of jobs and livelihoods are within the agriculture and tourism sectors, many farmers have suffered significant losses during the global lockdown due to the stay-at-home orders and the inability to sell produce to the hotels. Chief Extension Officer in the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Natural Resources, Physical Planning and Cooperatives, Samuel Jean-Baptiste, expressed gratitude for the initiative.
But purchasing power is still down. And so these vendors at the street markets, they continue to contend. They head out with this primary produce, and sometimes 50% is sold, 20%, there's no telling. And so we see that this COVID-19 has had some severe impact, but not just on the vendors. We have the agro-processors. They're involved in producing condiments, they're involved in producing an assortment of products, but because purchasing power is highly reduced, we see that there is a reduction in the earnings for these women. And so the Department of Agriculture is really thankful that the Engender Project and United Nations Women have taken a decision to provide support to those vulnerable populations.
The travel restrictions affected accommodations, restaurants, local craft vendors, souvenir shops, taxi drivers, tours and other activities frequented by locals as well as international tourists. Ministry of Tourism, Information and Broadcasting, Culture and Creative Industries Tourism and Research Officer Tercel Lewis explained that thousands of employees in the tourism sector were negatively impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic.
And again, this program is very important. We see that a lot of women have been disadvantaged during this pandemic. We know that a lot of other work is coming up. We have a lot of construction happening on island. However, we know that it's mostly men who are usually employed within that field. So it's very difficult. We have a lot of women in terms of their skill set for these persons to be re-employed. So this program really is going to be beneficial to them. So on behalf of the Ministry of Tourism and its operators, we would like to say a heartfelt thank you to the Department of Gender Relations for the introduction and the successful rollout of the UN Women and Gender COVID-19 Response Program. The assistance you have provided here is extremely crucial to these women who depend on the sector in these uncertain times.
60 women craft vendors and tour guides across St. Lucia will receive support in the form of cash grants and food vouchers for 2 consecutive months. 50 small rural female farmers will be receiving financial support towards purchasing farming equipment. Each recipient will be receiving a voucher valid for 1 month from the date of issue to redeem at any of the 4 local farming equipment stores which were pre-selected by the Ministry of Agriculture. From the Government Information Service, I am Janelle Norville.
Thank you, Janelle, for that report. We are due for a break. When we come back, more of the latest developments from the government of St. Lucia.
What's in the food you're eating? Do you really even know? All the chemicals and hormones used to accelerate their growth. All the artificial flavoring, sweeteners and colors too. We consume and we don't spare a thought for the damage that they'll do. No, think about the children. Think about the children. How will we save them? Chemicals and GMOs are not the solution. Use organic and join
Excessive agrochemical use, additives and genetically modified foods are harmful to health and the environment. Join the good food revolution. Grow, buy and consume organic. A message from Rise St. Lucia and the Ministry of Sustainable Development with funding from the GEF Small Grants Program, UNDP.
The good food revolution.
And just a quick update on the government's land rationalization plan extending to Bouton over in Soufrière-Fort-Saint-Jacques. We have the member for Soufrière-Fort-Saint-Jacques, Honorable Herod Stanislas, indicating that he's been working steadfastly to ensure that the lands in Bouton, Soufrière, owned by the Catholic Church, is made available for ownership by residents of the community. Honorable Herod Stanislas has been in constant discussion with the Catholic Church for the rationalizing of the Bouton lands. Honorable Stanislas strongly believes that land and property are among the most valuable asset for self-empowerment and advancement. The lands will be surveyed and apportioned for residential and related uses. Additionally, Bouton is being considered for the expansion of the Soufrière Cemetery, which currently has limited space, and this land rationalization initiative in Bouton will bring about ownership to the residents and the Soufrière community at large, thereby giving them an opportunity to own the very lands that they have occupied for generations. The Soufrière MP says facilitating land ownership for residents is vital for housing, business, industry, and other uses in the developmental process for the constituency. So that's word there over in Soufrière-Fort-Saint-Jacques of the work that is ongoing for land rationalization in the Bouton area. So yesterday, 1st June 2021, we had St. Lucia joining the region in observing Caribbean Nutrition Day. Health officials are this year shining the spotlight on the importance of food labels and the rights of consumers to know what is inside the food packages. Herma Demac reports.
Caribbean Nutrition Day is observed every year on the 1st of June, followed by a week of activities. The theme for this year is healthy eating, active living. Be a good label detective, read it before you eat it. This theme brings into focus the pertinent role that labeling of prepackaged foods play in assisting persons in making healthier decisions. The Caribbean, including St. Lucia, is making strides towards introducing front-of-package nutrition labeling on packaged foods. Lisa Hunt is the Chief Nutritionist in the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Typically, nutrition information is placed on the back of food labels where consumers do not usually pay attention. The front of package labels will present nutrition information on the front of prepackaged foods in a clear, simple, and easy-to-read format. This will highlight critical nutrients, including saturated fats, trans fats, sugar, and sodium. These critical nutrients are the drivers to diet-related non-communicable diseases, which are the leading cause of death, disease, and disability in the Caribbean, including St. Lucia.
From 2018, the Bureau of Standards across the Caribbean region have been working on improving nutritional labels on food products purchased in various shops, stalls, and supermarkets. Senior Medical Officer in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dr. Shanna Sir Filbert, says the intention is to support consumers irrespective of their ages in making healthier food choices.
We at the Ministry of Health endorse and support this initiative as it is key to achieving an enabling environment for both people living with and without NCDs. It will support children and adults in making informed decisions about what they consume.
The process of voting for octagonal front-of-package warning labels on pre-packaged foods is currently underway in the Caribbean region. The Ministry of Health, as well as many national health allies and stakeholders, have voted.
Octagon-shaped front-of-package nutritional warning indicates if a product is high in critical nutrients. It allows consumers to quickly and easily identify products with unhealthy nutritional contents. They are recommended by the World Health Organization because they are effective and efficient in communicating to consumers at the point of purchase and encourages healthy diets.
A number of countries have implemented octagon-shaped front-of-package nutritional warnings to address the growing global burden of diet-related non-communicable diseases. From the Government Information Service, I'm Herma Mark reporting.
Thank you, Huma, for that report. And the Ministry of Health, as well as the Government of St. Lucia, by extension, joined in the observance of World No Tobacco Day this week as well. That was May 31st. And something wonderful has happened. The work that St. Lucia has put in, well, health officials have put into tobacco control here on the island has not gone unnoticed. St. Lucia's Ministry of Health has won a 2021 World No Tobacco Day Award in the Americas for the World Health Organization. The Ministry of Health is one of 6 winners of the award in the Americas, receiving recognition for achieving key advances in tobacco control efforts. Congratulatory messages were issued by the Pan American Health Organization and the World Health Organization representative for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean countries during a virtual award ceremony held on, I think it was Monday, yes, Monday 31st. That was World No Tobacco Day. We go to that clip from the representative, Dr. Yitades Gebre.
We congratulate the government and the people of St. Lucia as recipient of 2021 World No Tobacco Day Award from the World Health Organization for the meritorious achievement. The Ministry of Health was instrumental in adoption of the public health smoking control regulation, which established a smoke ban in enclosed public places, workplaces, and public transportation. This was preceded by the amendment of the Public Health Amendment Act, which was passed by the St. Lucia Parliament in June 2019.
And with the adoption of its quit tobacco regulations, St. Lucia became the 8th country in the Caribbean and the 22nd in the Americas to adopt regulation in keeping with Article 8 of the World Health Organization Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, which asserts that people should be protected against tobacco smoke in indoor public spaces, indoor workplaces, and workplace in terms of transportation and so on. Minister for Health and Wellness, Senator the Honorable Mary Isaac, shared her convictions about the island's tobacco control legislation.
When we passed this legislation, we got quite a bit of pushback from producers of charcoal. But then when I visit our hospitals and I see our COPD patients gasping for air, trying to do what comes so easy to many of us, I know that the Ministry of Health had taken the right decision. The observance of World No Tobacco Day 2021 marks a significant milestone for St. Lucia. We are the proud recipients of the WHO World No Tobacco Day Award to recognize outstanding contributions to tobacco control. I take this opportunity to express sincere gratitude to PAHO and WHO for this most prestigious award. Thank you, WHO. Congratulations, Team Health, without whose hard work this would not have been done. Well done, Team Health.
Well done, Team Health. Honorable Isaac assured that the government of St. Lucia remains committed to the outreach programs and other activities associated with tobacco control in St. Lucia. Again, congratulations to everyone who's been involved. We know the team over at the Substance Abuse Advisory Secretariat have been working feverishly in terms of persons in St. Lucia quitting tobacco, quitting the use of tobacco overall, and also instituting regulations to prevent the use of tobacco in public spaces. We continue with our updates this morning. Her Excellency Lillian Chatterjee, Ambassador of Canada to the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, presented her letters of credence to Dr. Didacus Jules, Director General of the OECS, at a virtual ceremony on May 21st, 2021. The High Commissioner drew a focus to the benefits of diplomatic relations between Canada and the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States.
We too are responding, and it will take all of us working together to address the immediate basic needs of those affected by the volcano and to recover. The crisis has exposed the fragility of global value chains and inequity of market access, including access to essential goods like PPE and vaccines. We must tackle these challenges as friends, partners, and neighbors. We know the OECS is committed to our partnership. We are also actively looking for opportunities to engage more directly with the OECS as an institution.
Canada has committed to continued support to fighting the COVID-19 pandemic in our region and contributing to relief efforts of natural disasters in the region. Her Excellency Chatterjee commended the OECS for rallying to assist St. Vincent and the Grenadines after the eruption of the La Soufrière volcano.
The historical and people-to-people ties between Canada and OECS members run deep. And our shared cultural legacy of French and English colonialism profoundly shaped Canada and the Eastern Caribbean's development, a past that is thriving even today. Trade in sugar and saltfish have given way to other sectors. Canada's home.
Director General of the OECS, Dr. Didacus Jules, noted that he did note the importance of Canada Caribbean Seasonal Agricultural Workers Program to the livelihoods of OECS nationals being among the highlights of the relationship, the diplomatic connection between the two countries.
And let me say parenthetically that since COVID and as well the volcanic eruption in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, this program has really proved the solidity of its benefits, because we have had a couple hundred workers leave the OECS by special charter to engage in employment in Canada. A significant portion, I think over 80% of whom came from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So indirectly, Canada has made a huge contribution in a humanitarian way, but in a way that also preserves human dignity by enabling persons from St. Vincent to go earn comparatively better wages than they would have earned even within the Caribbean at a time of such critical importance.
Canada has also contributed to the development of the OECS region through several other initiatives, including the provision of scholarship programs to the region, providing technical support for the advancement of statistical systems in the region as well. Canada recently made a contribution to the Pan American Health Organization in the sum of Canadian $50 million to help fight the COVID-19 pandemic. And we continue on to word from the OECS USA. The thrust to inculcate a culture and love for reading amongst the nation's students received a shot in the arm with the publication of writings by students and teachers as part of the OECS USAID Early Learners Program to Write to Read initiative. Herma DeMac has that story.
The OECS USAID Early Learners Program celebrated a significant accomplishment with the culmination of the Write to Read program. The program was established in 2017 and provided students and teachers across the OECS the opportunity to become authors of books using the region's early childhood curriculum. After a rigorous process of collection and evaluation of submissions, winners were announced and their submissions were published. The St. Lucia Early Learners Program of the Department of Education held a book launch on May 28, 2021, where the student and teacher authors from St. Lucia were recognized and provided with copies of their books. Angel Caglin, the curriculum officer of English at CAMDU, says, "This is the beginning of localizing the literature used in schools."
Really, we want to look at this as a first step to having more locally authored texts in the classroom, in our classroom libraries, in our school libraries, and in our instructional curriculum. So, for anyone listening to this program, whether it is today or tomorrow or sometime in the future, consider this the opening ceremony for more publications authored by our students, by our teachers, and by our community members.
18 books were displayed, written by 19 students and teachers. The books were published by Caribbean Reads and covered a variety of genres. By providing locally made reading resources, the initiative aimed to create an authentic reading experience for students of the OECS and increase their love for reading. Rainfall Gordon is the education specialist in the Education Development Management Unit of the OECS.
We recognize that we're putting so much emphasis on buying books from the outside to have children to read. And I know from being a former teacher and working with the Ministry of Education, working with teachers directly, that we have so much talent out there. We have teachers who are superb writers. We have students who are superb writers. And I remember some of my students when I taught at this Irisman Secondary School, students that persons may underestimate, may assume are not necessarily the most capable. And I think back to some of the writings that I got from some of those students, and we realized that rather than putting all the emphasis on getting commercial material that is being produced by people who are, for the most part, outside of the region, we need to celebrate our own.
Chief Education Officer in the Department of Education, Dr. Fiona Philip-Meyer, encouraged the student officers to celebrate their successes. She expressed gratitude to the agencies involved in the initiative and commended them for their dedication to improving education in the region.
We cannot leave without me, on behalf of the Department of Education, extending my sincerest gratitude to USAID, UNICEF, OECS, a partner who is family to us, always there with us, as we continue to forge ahead. For me, always with the most significance of children. Education must be about children. What else? And sometimes it's really the adults that take the forefront, but we must focus on them. So let me say to you, to everyone here, a job well done.
The book launch coincided with Reading Month 2021, which was held under the theme Readers as Creators. From the Government Information Service, I'm Hermedy Mark reporting.
Thank you, Huma, for that report, our last report for the morning. Before we wrap up for today, the public is hereby notified that in keeping with changes in the international oil prices and government's application of the modified market pass-through petroleum pricing mechanism, the retail price of gasoline, diesel, the LPG 20, 22 and 100-pound cylinders, they have changed. The retail price of kerosene remains unchanged. The price change effect takes effect on Monday, 31st May 2021. Gasoline has increased from $2.98 to $3.06 per litre. Kerosene remains unchanged, $1.54 per litre. Diesel increased from $2.77 to $2.83 per litre, and diesel increased from $2.77 to $2.83 per litre. The 20-pound cylinder increased from $30.74 to $31.33 per cylinder. The 22-pound cylinder increased from $33.82 to $34.46 per cylinder. The 100-pound cylinder increased from $202.30 to $208.30 per cylinder. So please take note of the adjustment in the petroleum pricing here on Ireland. The next adjustment will be made on Monday, June 21st, 2021. My name is Jessie Leon, signing off for now. We do hope that you're keeping safe, adhering to the protocols. Do ensure that despite being vaccinated, many of you are fully vaccinated by now, but please ensure that you are adhering to the protocols, because we still need to wear the mask. We still need to observe the 6-foot distance. We still need to also wash our hands frequently with soap and water, the use of sanitizer when we're not near a faucet, because we are still very much vulnerable as a population. So please take note of that as you go about your day to day. And we do hope that you keep safe tomorrow. The concern about holidays and weekends and persons taking liberties and neglecting their responsibilities to the COVID-19 protocols during those times in the social sector and so on, we need to keep that in mind as we go into the observance, the Feast of Corpus Christi tomorrow, the 3rd of June, 2021. So please keep safe until we meet again, God willing, on Friday morning. Goodbye.